Thanks. Relatedly, Taoiseach, I want to ask if you raised with Keir Starmer the need to stop arms exports to Israel. Obviously, Britain is a major arms supplier to Israel. 5 days before your meeting, the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy announced the suspension of only 30 export licences out of 350 to Israel. And he was at pains to emphasise that this was not an arms embargo, that the point, quote, was in no way to punish Israel, and he claimed that Israel must have the so-called right to defend itself. And the vast majority of people in this country would certainly agree that Israel has gone many, many light years past any point of defending itself. It is massacring tens of thousands of innocent people across Gaza, now invading Lebanon. It is shooting children in the head. It is stripping people naked. It is lining them up. It is throwing them into mass graves. It is using chemical weapons against UN peacekeepers. It is burning people alive. It is carrying out a Holocaust. So Taoiseach, did you ask Keir Starmer to stop all arms exports to the genocidal Israeli state? Or did you back out of raising it like you did with President Biden? I thought that Deputy Barry had an appropriate turn of phrase earlier when he spoke about the post-dated cheques that are being written by this government. One of those post-dated cheques relates to the Occupied Territories Bill, which has been before the House of the Oireachtas for 6 years now. And we have a statement just out from the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Taoiseach, saying that we're going to commence a review of the Occupied Territories Bill, giving people the hope that this may actually be implemented, but not until after the election. Do you really expect people to believe that?
Deputy Murphy and Deputy Barry and Deputy O'Murray on the issue of Israel, on the issue of the actions of this government. Firstly, to be clear, when I meet everybody, publicly and privately, including the President of the United States of America, I raise the issue of weapons. I believe every country needs to use every lever at its disposal to bring about a ceasefire, to stop the violence. In some cases, in Ireland, that doesn't involve weapons. In the case of the United States, it does. So people are trying to, for whatever reason, suggest things that simply aren't true. You didn't want me to meet the President of the United States. You made that point as I set off from here to meet him. That's your prerogative. I believe it's extremely important that we do. And I believe it's extraordinarily important that we continue to engage with the British Prime Minister for a whole variety of reasons, not least the peace process and them being our nearest neighbours. I do think there's a sincerity from people in wanting to see a ceasefire. I think the actions of the world to bring it about have been utterly ineffective. I made a point, not a million miles from Deputy Boyd Barrett's point at the European Council this week, when I asked the question, what is the tipping point by which the European Union decides to take action on the association agreement? And the reality is, and being very honest in this House, it is a minority view amongst member states that the association agreement on trade should be reviewed. I find that really deeply unsettling, quite frankly. Spain share our view, Slovenia share our view, a number of other countries may share the view, but certainly not a majority of countries. That is why we have looked at the Occupied Territories Bill in the light of the ICJ advisory opinion to see if there's a new context now. The International Court matters, what it says matters, and in the view of this government it places an obligation on member states to act. It's not the same thing as saying the Occupied Territories Bill as it is works, but we are willing now and wanting to, in light of the new Attorney General advice that I sought, engage, and as soon as today, the Taoiseach will be speaking to the sponsor of that bill. Our words aren't empty when it comes to support for Palestine. Ask the Palestinian President, ask the Palestinian Authority, ask UNRWA, ask the United Nations. This is a government that's acting in terms of trying to support the people of Palestine.